See that everybody's getting into the meeting all right. We were having some technical difficulties, which is why we were a few minutes late getting started tonight, and we're so sorry for that. But we're so glad you're here, and we're going to have a great presentation tonight. And with that, I think we're going to go ahead and begin. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to Northern Kentucky History Hour. I'm your host for tonight, Heather Cook, a sophomore at the College of Worcester, studying political science and history, and I work at the Behringer-Crawford Museum as a visitor service associate when I'm not in school. And tonight I'm joining you live from Worcester, Ohio. Northern Kentucky History Hour is a project of the Behringer-Crawford Museum, Northern Kentucky's History Museum. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors, including the City of Covington, Kenton County Fiscal Court, ArtsWave, Kentucky Arts Council, Northern Kentucky Sports Hall of Fame, the Carol Ann and Ralph V. Hale Jr. Foundation, and our members. If you're not yet a member of the museum, please consider joining us for access to discounts and exclusive programming. You can learn more about that and join at our website, which is bcmuseum.org. We would love to hear from our viewers tonight, so if you have a question or comment to share, please type it into the chat or the Q&A feature, and we will try to get to as many questions as possible immediately following the presentation. Now, tonight's presenter is Kathy Witt. She's the author of 6 books, including the newly published Cincinnati Scavenger, The Ultimate Search for Cincinnati's Hidden Treasures, Secret Cincinnati, A Guide to the Weird, Wonderful, and Obscure, and The Secret of the Bells. She is currently working on 2 books, Perfect Day Kentucky from the Reedy Press in fall 2023, and a true crimes book for the University of Kentucky Press in 2024. Kathy is a member of the Society of American Travel Writers, Authors Guild, and the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, an award-winning travel and lifestyle writer. Kathy writes a monthly syndicated travel column for Tribune News Service and contributes regularly to Kentucky Living, Georgia, Southern Living, Long Weekends, and Travel Goods magazines, and the webzine Real Food Traveler. Kathy, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Before we get started, there's a quiz question tonight. The first respondent to enter a correct answer in the chat on Zoom or on Facebook Live will win a Northern Kentucky History Hour prize, and most importantly, bragging rights. Now, tonight's question is, one of the first movies shown at the Old Kentucky Theatre in Latonia was a 1938 black and white comedy crime caper starring 2-time Oscar winner Melvyn Douglas, Virginia Bruce, a leading lady of the 1930s and 1940s, and ingenue Margaret Lindsay. What is the name of the movie? Be sure to answer the question in the chat, and we will announce the winner at the end of the program. And Kathy, if you're ready, we can go ahead and get started.
I am ready. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me tonight, Behringer-Crawford. And I am here to talk about Cincinnati Scavenger, and I actually have a guest with me who will come on in a little bit to talk about some of the history and family connections for the Old Kentucky Theatre. But first, I'm going to share my screen so that you can go through a PowerPoint with me. Here we are. I hope everyone can see what's on the screen right now. So Cincinnati Scavenger is subtitled The Ultimate Hunt for the Hidden Treasures of Greater Cincinnati, but it also dips a lot into Northern Kentucky and to Southeast Indiana, because that really, those communities do make up the Greater Cincinnati area. So I wanted to start talking a little bit about how the scavenger hunt became popularized. And it actually began about 100 years ago with a woman named Elsa Maxwell, who was a New York socialite. She was more than just a socialite. She sort of had a finger in everything. She was an author, a gossip columnist, a songwriter, a screenwriter, and a radio personality. She was a professional hostess, which I didn't realize that was a job classification, but she made it one. And she was renowned for her parties for royalty and high society figures of the day. Her radio program was Elsa Maxwell's Party Line, and it began airing in 1942. And she appeared as herself in the film Stage Door Canteen, Rhapsody in Blue, co-starred in the film Hotel for Women, and for that movie she wrote the screenplay and a song. So she really was very well connected, and actually people really wanted to be on the list to come to her parties.
Kathy, before you go any further, could you go up to the top of your screen and hit slideshow and present?
Oh, slideshow.
Yep. Oops. Present. Where's that?
From current slide, probably.
From current slide. From there. There you go.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry about that. Were you able to see the previous slides,
Yeah.
Heather? Okay. Okay, so it was Elsa who brought the scavenger hunt sort of into mainstream America. It began as a party game, and she really did have people running through the streets of New York City, where many of her parties were set, gathering things up to bring back for her scavenger hunts. She made the newspapers of the day with all of her party themes. And what's interesting about Elsa is she grew up very poor and was often not invited to the parties of her school classmates. And it's just is an interesting sort of fun fact that she gave the world one of its most inclusive party activities because she'd been kept out of parties. And a scavenger hunt really is that party that anybody, any age can join in. You know, it can be any theme, you can go anywhere. And it really has had staying power. It's been around for almost a century now. And for someone who had not been invited, she grew up to give parties and hang out with a lot of people from Hollywood, including Marilyn Monroe. There's actually a National Scavenger Hunt Day. It's May 24th each year, and that happens to be Elsa's birthday. So she had a lot of influence. So the Cincinnati Scavenger is part of a line of scavenger books published by Reedy Press. It's a best-selling line for the publisher, and the idea came up because the publisher had read a book whose theme was treasures hidden all over the United States. And the idea was you would read the book, then you would travel to these places and try to find what was hidden. But he read the book, put it aside, he forgot the title of the book, then he couldn't find it, couldn't go back to it. So the way the whole series came about is he decided to create his own line of books about the treasures hidden around different cities. The treasures are meant to be, in plain sight. They're in neighborhoods all over the cities that they're based in. And with the Cincinnati Scavenger book, we have 10 neighborhoods in Cincinnati. 7 are in Northern Kentucky, including Latonia, which is where we're currently at the Around the Corner Fabrics shop. And 2 of them are in Southeast Indiana. So it covers 3 states, 19 neighborhoods, 345 clues. All of the clues were to be written in verse. So the publisher had this idea that every clue would be 4 lines, 8 beats per line. So it's in iambic tetrameter, which is sort of a tongue twister, and also kind of a pun for the nature of the book. So you have to go in, read the clues, and I'll read one. Actually, I'll read one relating to the theater tonight, and then try to figure out where these are. 2 of the clues in the book relate to Shakespeare, and anybody who's familiar with Shakespeare knows that he wrote in iambic pentameter which would be a total of 10 beats, still has that rhyming scheme of every other word accented. So there are two neighborhoods in the book. Both of them are in Cincinnati, and both of them have Shakespeare clues. So just a few tidbits about writing the book. When we originally set out, the book was to have 360 clues. The number that I actually wrote for the book were 398. The number of clues that made it into the book were 345. The extra clues have really come in handy. I've been putting them on Facebook, and every now and then I'll throw one out just sort of to share how to use the book and what to look for. The photographer was actually my husband, John Witt. He photographed the book I wrote right before this, Secret Cincinnati. He took all the photos for that book and for this one. And he actually took close to 1,500 photos. Going into it, the art director had requested 3 photos of each clue. We had one entire neighborhood that had been photographed and then realized it wasn't going to work. So there were all those photos. So it was a lot of photos, a lot of rhymes to get this together. We had a number of people who came out of their shops to ask John why he was there, why he was taking photos of their shop. And I have some of these. I don't know if you'll recognize these or not. These are some of the shops all around Greater Cincinnati where the shop owners did come out and stop him and want to know why he was taking photos. So this is a place in Merrimont. And so now I've got a few clues that I wanted to look at. Before we do that, though, just to say when you are looking at the book, if you can go neighborhood by neighborhood, you can choose to go into a Cincinnati or Lawrenceburg, Indiana. You can go by theme. And it really works anyway. There are about 16 to 19 clues in each section. Again, 19 neighborhoods. And really the idea is to just walk around the neighborhood, see what's there, discover things that you may never have heard of in the neighborhood, or to sort of reacquaint yourself with things that you know about. Each chapter ends with a place where you can have food or drink if you choose. And it really is a chance to just kind of stroll through different neighborhoods all over town, spend a day, spend a morning or an afternoon. You can challenge yourself. You can go with family. It's a great family outing. You can, compete with other teams and run around and do sort of what Elsa Maxwell had asked her guests to do, is to go find these things and meet back later and compare and see who got the most. This is a clue from Bellevue, and I'll share a few in the neighborhoods. This is a clue in Merrimont. I don't know if you've seen this dinosaur, but he actually is in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. This is on a building in downtown Cincinnati. So really with the book, you're going to be looking up, down, on buildings, on signs, monuments, all over in search of these clues. This is in Fort Thomas. And here we are at the clue for the Old Kentucky Theater. And we're in the shop where that used to be this theater. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute so we can get Kelly Richardson, who owns the Around the Corner Fabric Shop, to talk a little bit about her family connection to the Old Kentucky Theater, and just some facts about the theater itself and her shop. Okay, I hit stop sharing. Why isn't it going away?
You're
Bear
not
with
sharing.
us.
Bear with us. We stopped sharing, but it's still
Maybe
here.
that one, no, next to the,
Here.
go over. Keep going. No, one more. That one? No? And then hit the back button.
All right, back button.
Oh,
Oops.
no.
Well,
You're not
We-
sharing anymore. We can see you. You're all
oh,
You
fine.
can?
oh,
We
okay.
can't
We
see
can't
ourselves,
see.
so are we all in there?
Yeah.
All right, here's Kelly.
Let's see if we can. Okay, there we go. Now I think we might. Okay,
Oh, here we go.
there we are. Thanks
Sorry
for
about that.
having me this evening. I'm Kelly Richardson Nicely. My maiden name is Richardson, and I own the shop here at Around the Corner Fabrics. We're located in the historic Kentucky Theater, just like Kathy mentioned. And I'm really honored to be invited to be here this evening. Kathy just asked me to share what I know about the building. I don't know a whole lot, unfortunately. I just know it's been in my family for decades. My father is the baby of a very large family, and his oldest brother was my Uncle Sid. And Sid owned Latonia Blacktop in Latonia many, many years ago. And his building was actually next door to the theater. I guess that would be 17, I think, West Southern. And the building was empty for probably 10 years. And I think he just watched and waited. And he purchased it in the early 60s and turned it into what it is today. All commercial suites on the first floor and offices, and then they added 10 tenant apartments, residential apartments upstairs. Unfortunately, he died of a heart attack in his late 40s. But my first cousins, they still own the building. And so they are the oldest grandchildren of our family, and I'm the very youngest. So we recently moved to Ryland from Boone County, and I was just tickled to come down here and see that my cousin had availability, because I really believe in this historic district, and I really believe that it's making a resurgence down here. If you were from here growing up and you knew the old Latonia Bakery and Haggis's Restaurant and places like that that are really near and dear to my heart from growing up, it's really making a comeback. And there's a lot of great business owners and small shops and boutiques. So we definitely invite you to come down. Here at the shop, we're teaching sewing lessons. If you're a quilter, please come see us. We have lots of beautiful cotton fabrics. You can see some of our handiwork in the background here. But thank you so much for having us. I'd love to tell you more about the theater in person, so please stop down anytime, and I'd be happy to share any history with you. Thanks for having me, Kathy.
Can you share a little bit more about the shop, when you're open, before
Sure.
we go, and then we'll talk a little bit about Latonia.
We opened the day before Thanksgiving, just last year in 2021. So we just we're about a year and a half or so right now. The support from the community has just been wonderful. And that was really my vision for this place: be a collaborative community resource here, a place that people can come and learn skills. I believe that sewing is a life skill. I say it all the time. It's not about making gorgeous quilts. It's about knowing how to hem or mend, things that really come in useful. It's right up there with cooking for me and things like that. So we're open 5 days a week. We're only closed on Sundays and Mondays. And then our late night is Thursdays until 7 o'clock. We do classes mostly on the weekends, and our website is atcfabrics.com. And you can find a full list of our classes and all of our offerings, everything that we have here in the shop. We make quilt kits, as well as we have patterns and books. And we've just got a great friendly staff that will be happy to help you walk through any project, whether you're a first timer or very advanced. We'd love to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate it.
Well, it is a great building here, and I believe when it was the old Kentucky Theater, it opened in 1939, and it was still open at some point in the 1960s. And it interestingly, it was about 850 to 900 seats. I've seen both numbers, and it was all on one floor. And I have a picture when we return to the slideshow that shows the projection system they used, which was this theater supposedly was the first to use that technology. So I thought before we return to the slideshow, I was just going to read the clue that would bring you to Kelly's shop. If you're walking around the streets of Latonia, you'll see, I guess the big famous landmark is Reedy's Corner. It's very historic. It's part of the, it's actually called the Reedy's Corner Historic District. And it spokes off in 5 different directions. And a lot of the clues in the Latonia section of the book are concentrated in this area. There are some others that are, you know, a bit of a walk, but you'll come into, and there are antique shops. Bard's Burgers is here. I'm sure many have heard of that. They're very famous for their burgers, and they're delicious. The Roost is here, which is a coffee shop, but so much more. Antiques, collectibles, new merchandise, and it also carries my book, Secret Cincinnati and Cincinnati Scavenger. So if you picked up the book and you were walking through Latonia, the clue that would bring you to Kelly's shop is back then Kentucky Theater for sewers now and amateurs, with bolts and textiles on display. The price is based on what they weigh. So I know that's pretty succinct. I think
That
we'll bring
is.
people here.
It is, absolutely.
And so I thought we would return to the slideshow. So let me get that back up.
Okay, you should be able to see it.
And then we need to go here and
Concurrent.
oh, good. I'm glad you're here.
There you go.
All right. Okay, so here are some old pictures of the building when it was Kentucky Theater. And if you look in the right corner, that is the projection system that supposedly was used in this theater first. And you can see the seats. It is, it's one row, very cozy and intimate. And then supposedly the theater, I don't have a closing date on it, but in one of the articles I read, it was still open in the early 1960s. And you said your family bought it.
My cousin told me today it was like the early 60s. He thought it was
Okay.
about 63, but I thought it was shut down. He said it was empty for some time. So I'm not sure.
All right, so that timeline works out. Okay, and here is the Roost, which is around the corner from here and carries the books. It's a great coffee shop. And I'm sure people familiar with Latonia know a lot of the buildings in the area are historic. Here are the books I have written. And Heather mentioned I've got a couple happening in the works. One is about Kentucky. It's a travel book, and also a true crimes book coming out in about a year and a half. Very gory. And that wraps up my slideshow presentation. Let me stop sharing. How did you get that?
Let's see. I think we went down.
Oh, we have to go
here.
down to the buttons
down here
at the bottom.
And then so there you go.
We're back. So let's know if anyone.
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, you guys
Okay.
are good. I guess
Jump back
before we
in.
get into questions, and everyone, please put some questions in the chat so that we can get those answered for you. We can talk about the trivia question first. To repeat that for everybody, it was one of the first movies shown at the Old Kentucky Theater in Latonia was in 1938, black and white comedy crime caper starring 2-time Oscar winner Melvyn Douglas, Virginia Bruce, a leading lady of the 1930s and 40s, and ingenue Margaret Lindsay. And it was asking what is the name of that movie. And that was There's That Woman Again. We did have a winner, Deb Powers.
Wow. All right.
That's great.
Good job, Deb.
Yeah, she got that really quickly. So congratulations, Deb. You'll get your prize in the mail. I don't know if you guys want to talk a little bit about that, or maybe why you picked that as a trivia question particularly.
Yeah, the reason I chose that is because in an old picture of the Kentucky Theater, that was the movie listed on the marquee. So I looked it up on, I'm sure everyone is familiar with the IMDb Internet Movie Database, and found out, it was quite a big deal. It had Oscar winner in it, a leading lady. And I think, according to the timeline, it probably was one of the very first movies this theater would have shown. The movie itself came out in 1938. The theater opened in 39. I have a feeling it would have been up there very early on. So that's why I chose it. And it's supposed to be a comedy crime caper. I've not seen the movie myself.
So if we get into some questions, what are some of the other Northern Kentucky spots that are highlighted in your book?
Okay, so again, 7 neighborhoods in Northern Kentucky. Those include, and I don't know if, I think I mentioned this, but the neighborhoods really were chosen for walkability. Everything had really to be hidden in plain sight. So you're not required to walk in any buildings. Everything is right outside for you to see. So I have Fort Thomas, Ludlow, the Roebling Point, Riverside Drive Historic District in Covington, Bellevue, Main Strasse Village, Latonia, of course, and Newport. So those.
They were wondering if you could elaborate on one particular spot, a special one in particular, and the history behind that in Northern Kentucky.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah. Let's see. Well, I will say, I don't know how many people are familiar with Latonia Baptist Church. That is also a clue in the Latonia section. And that really was chosen because so many people who grew up in this area know 2 women, Miss Jerry Sipple and Miss Jean Williams. They taught Latonia Baptist preschool and kindergarten for, I want to say, close to 40 years until around, I think, 2003, 2004, which is when they retired. Miss Jean is still with us. And they remember every student they ever had. If you've ever talked to them, they'll go, through the alphabet. But I chose that because I went to that school as a kindergartner. 3 of my 4 kids were students there in their preschool and their kindergarten. We remained friends always, including Miss Jean is 95 and still with us, and we still go out to lunch. But I feel like they are such a huge part of the story, not just of Latonia Baptist, but of Latonia. They had such longevity, and they met so many people. I've never seen them anywhere where people didn't come up and thank them for being their teacher. They had a huge impact, and I really wanted to include the church as a clue because I wanted to involve Miss Jean and Miss Jerry in some way, because the book is also dedicated to them. They were my first teachers, and they were wonderful.
That's exciting, Kathy.
It's really sweet. Somebody was asking where they can find the answers to the scavenger hunt if they're not successful finding them on their own.
All right. Okay, this was an interesting topic with the publisher who won't allow any of the scavenger authors to publish an answer key. So there was sort of a formula for creating the clues in terms of level of difficulty. And it was kind of very loose, like half should be pretty easy where you're walking out and you can spot with the old Kentucky Theater building, you're going to see that, architectural, the marquee and the letters. 25% roughly were supposed to be very challenging, but for the most part, pretty, fairly easy as you're walking through. And really, when you spot one and sort of see how the book works, they come along. So when when I was finished writing the book, I had about 8 people test out just this idea because there is no answer key. So they went into neighborhoods they were not familiar with and went to the downtown area, and started spotting clues. So I think the longest it took one to get through the neighborhood was about an hour and a half, but they also stopped for a cocktail. So, and what I've said to people is there is a Facebook page for the books. It's called Secrets and Scavengers. And if they run into trouble, they can post the question on the Facebook page, and I will share more clues to get them where they need to be.
Yeah, that's a cool idea, having a Facebook page for the book.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking about, and I don't know if you'll be able to answer this or not, but about the projection system in the theater.
Okay, no, I don't have technical expertise on that. I just happened to see the picture and love the fact that here in Latonia, it was the first place to use it. And I'll tell you, I wrote an article about the Old Kentucky Theater and Kelly's shop in relation to coming on tonight with for Northern Kentucky History Hour for the Northern Kentucky Tribune, which is an online newspaper. In searching for information to write that article, there is very little out there. There are some historical pictures, some, a few dates that talk about when the theater opened, things like that. But it was really hard to find any information about it. There's a website you can go to. I think it is historiccinema.org. I'd have to double check that, but it does have any, theater in the United States that has been built. It's sort of that, collects all that information. And that's where I did find some on the Kentucky Theater.
I researched a lot when I opened here, and I also had a lot of dead ends. It's been more interesting. Some of our clients that are from this area, some of them, attended the theater here. So it's been more fun hearing about their stories. And of course, I was asking if they were holding hands in the back row or anything like that. But they can just tell me what fun it was and growing up around here, but no real specifics, unfortunately.
Yeah, we did have a few people in the comments say they had come to the theater seeing Please Don't Eat the Daisies and the Tin.
Oh,
that's fun.
That is fun.
Somebody also asked if you could repeat the hours for your shop, Kelly.
We're closed on Sundays and Mondays. We're open Tuesday through Saturdays, 10 to 4. Thursday, we stay open late until 7 p.m. So yeah, you can catch us anytime. You can Google us and find our hours. And we also have a very active Facebook page, shows a lot of kits and creations and what I might be quilting this week, because we also offer long arm servicing. So yeah, check us out. We'd love to see you follow us.
And that is one of the points the publisher decided to create the series, was really to get people into neighborhoods to discover them. And I feel like, I grew up in the Latonia area. I went to school here. And to me, it sort of felt like one of those forgotten places. It's like the businesses, you saw them sort of go away for a long time. But then all of a sudden, there's been this resurgence. And it's been really interesting and fun for me to come back and discover that there are, I don't know, at least 4 antique shops in Latonia. Mm-hmm. A lot of fun little eateries. The Roost, as I said, Kelly's shop is here. Things spoking off from Rudy's Corner. And that really is the whole idea, to get people in, walk around, see what's there. In the case of one neighborhood that I had not been to maybe once or twice was Aurora, Indiana. And so I'd gone over there to see about it because I thought I wanted to include Aurora and Lawrenceburg in the book. They are part of Greater Cincinnati metro area. And, it's a fun drive to get there too. Sort of takes you out, if you're from Covington, it's not on, it's hardly on your beaten path, in other words. So when we got there, it is the cutest town. There's just shops all over the place. They have all kinds of fun stuff, little restaurants. And one of the shops there, I'm now considered a regular at. And this, again, sort of the idea behind the book, because I found this place, I just fell in love with it, and I'm there. I mean, I've been there a half a dozen times. So, that's another thing to, when you're reading the book, to find these places, find those things that become, regular things that you want to return to over and over.
And we have a question about what the oldest business in Latonia is.
Wow, do you have an idea what that might be?
Well, I know that T&W Printing has been here a very long time. I don't know any kind of dates, but Tom Mitchell, who is older than me, he kept that business running. His father started it, and I believe his father's name was Tom Mitchell is their last name. But that's the only one. I mean, Jackson Florist is way up there with the longest, one of the oldest, I'd say, businesses, but I'm not really sure on specifics.
Yeah. If anybody wants to know about that shop, we did just do a curators chat with Tom, and it is 101 years old, and it's on that curators chat is up on our YouTube channel now if anybody wants to go watch that.
Oh, that'd be great. Tom is a great driving force in our Latonia Business Association. He's got a very solid business, and he's really supportive of the community.
Yeah, some of the people in the comments said that they have been to that business before to have printing done their wedding invitations. So that's really cool that it's been in the community for so long.
Oh my gosh.
The question about the theater again is if it's included in Bob Webster's book on Northern Kentucky theater.
Oh, I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hope so, but I can't answer that. This theater, it's kind of funny. The building, it's sort of just over time, because we sort of just get used to everything around us. My dentist was in this building, and I came here for 20 years and didn't know that it was the old Kentucky Theater until I sat down to write this book and was going into different neighborhoods around town just to find those like interesting architectural appointments, interesting sculptures, other things that could be, well, the dinosaur in one of the neighborhoods was really fun, a fun discovery to make, but I didn't realize that. And so I think so many times we take for granted what is in our community, and we just sort of stop seeing it. And the book is a way to sort of reignite that kind of desire to see what's to be seen. In mentioning the dinosaur, one thing that is fun, if you got the book and decided to do it by themes, there's a lot of monsters in the book. I don't know why, it just seemed to turn out that way, but we have monsters on buildings. Well, I guess the dinosaur would be more prehistoric creature, but there are things like that too. So there are different themes that you can sort of hook into as well. Restaurants, sculptures all over town, public art, there's a lot of murals. So
yeah. We did just have a question about if the front tower, I guess that big front part of the theater, if it's still a part of the building.
Yes, and the letters are still on it.
Yes, the vertical letters are still on it. They're not working. I've not asked him when when it wasn't lit. I know that they had it lit for some years ago. Latonia did a big event called Rock the Block, and they shut down this whole block, and they were able to get some things lit. Now, I'm not sure electric wise what happened after that, but my cousin had like painted it so it didn't look so, what do you want to say, like an eyesore. They just kind of painted a solid color over all of that. You know what I mean? To kind of make it blend in. I would love Covington as a new program to help people with their signage. So I'm working on him.
And what was the most challenging part of your research for this book?
The most challenging probably was trying to really make decisions about which neighborhoods. You know, there's so many different communities in Greater Cincinnati, and so what was really challenging was going through trying to figure out the balance. How many in Cincinnati? How many in Northern Kentucky? Northern Kentucky was really important to me because I grew up in Northern Kentucky, and I wanted it to have a huge presence in the book. But it really came down to how walkable, how concentrated things were, because you don't want people, walking for 10 miles trying to find the next clue. So everything had to be pretty concentrated in downtown historic districts or business districts. Like in the historic business district of Montgomery is in the book. So everything there, if you're familiar with that, it's very concentrated. Same with Merrimont. The challenge really was choosing, because I could only have 19 neighborhoods, figuring out which ones would go in the book. I knew the first one. The first neighborhood I chose to go in the book was Latonia. I knew from the beginning that one would be in the book. But neighborhoods also had to be safe. And I referenced a neighborhood before that was taken out. We were photographing, happened to see a few, I'll just say perhaps criminal activities unfolding as we were taking pictures. So we decided to scrap that neighborhood. But that really was the challenge: walkability, safety, balance, trying to find enough clues in a concentrated area so people were getting those immediate successes and figuring out the clues, but not having to walk, 10 to 15 miles to get these things.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's exciting. It's a great family activity, and
Yeah.
what a great way to get the kids out. I think they're very nature deficient, and I think it's awesome to get the fresh air and get them away from their devices a little bit.
Yeah. And kind of going off of that last question, what was there anything that you found the most interesting or surprising while you were doing research for this book?
Well, I guess it would be in the the things that we saw, the things that I just didn't know were there. Like the dinosaur was surprising, and I thought, why is that dinosaur there? Some of the history in Clifton, there's a restaurant that's connected to an artist. So I like making discoveries like that. There's also a bench with a full, life-size statue of William Shakespeare sitting on it. Had no idea it was there at all. I had, and really just driving through the city, looking, there's so many things. The city is so pretty anyway. Then you get into these little parks that they have. There's a park in Merrimont where one of the clues is. And it's just so pretty. And it was a real joy to be finding these things, walking around, seeing them, and just learning, why is there a dinosaur? Who's it connected to? There's a Spider-Man mural in another city. And and that was, a fun story of why he's there. So there's little discoveries like that were fun for me.
Could you maybe talk a little bit about what got you into writing and maybe why you decided to become a writer, and if you ever thought that you'd be doing a book like this?
Okay, I never thought I would be doing a book like this, but I never thought I would be writing a book that was 100% written in verse. That was part of the appeal for me, but also a little daunting, because I knew going in that there were going to be so many clues. So I like that, but no, I didn't think it didn't occur to me. I always knew I wanted to be a writer, and I started with magazines, writing for newspaper and magazines. And the first book I wrote was about one-of-a-kind artist dolls. So collectible dolls, it was a topic I wrote about regularly for a number of different magazines, both here in the US and in the UK. Being a writer, you never know what paths it's going to take. So I suddenly found myself writing for about 10 different doll magazines, meeting the doll artists. And so the first book I wrote was one that looked at the doll artists and what their paths to creating their dolls looked like. And from there, I wrote another doll book, a doll directory. Then I wrote a book that's related to Gone with the Wind. It's just in the sense that it's one of the settings. It's was set at a Gone with the Wind museum in Georgia. I wrote a book about Atlanta because I traveled there a lot. And then I wrote Secret Cincinnati, which was the book before Cincinnati Scavenger.
Yeah, that's so cool. Do you know like what originally made you want to write?
I don't remember a time really when I didn't want to write. I can remember being at growing up at the dining room table writing stories that probably were really, really terrible because, I was 10 and of course my parents were forced to read these things. So there really wasn't a time when I didn't write, and I always knew that's what I wanted to do. What I didn't know was how to become one. I didn't really know people who could direct me. I had a professor, who was, of some help, but, I didn't move to New York. I was here, and I didn't really know how to do it. I started writing the travel copy at a travel agency. So I wrote all of their brochures. From there, I got a job writing for a travel trade publication. Then I started writing for Kentucky Post. So that's been a while. And Cincinnati Enquirer. And then it sort of branched out from there with different markets. And my real goal is I always wanted to write children's books. And I have written some, but not in this country. They were written for storybooks for classrooms for Malaysia. So again, never know what path it's going to follow, and it keeps it very interesting.
Yeah. We did have an answer for a previous question about if the theater was included in Robert Webster's book. Somebody concluded that it is, and it's on page 28. So thank you, Mary, for the help on that question.
Thank you.
And
It must be.
yeah, is there anything else you'd like to add about the book before we wrap up tonight?
Well, it was great fun to write. It definitely is a different type of book than what I've done. I do mostly creative nonfiction, although I do have a fiction book, but it was challenging, but it was a lot of fun. And when I was really in the throes of it, I was talking in rhyme because it became such a part of my daily work.
That's fun.
Yeah. And if you come to Latonia, it's available at the Roost, but it's also, Joseph Beth carries at all the bookstores do. It's also at Hale, Cincinnati, and Mainstrasse, which is a great fun stop. And Mainstrasse is in the book. So you'll find it there too.
Yeah. And we'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. just have a few promotions for the museum, which is currently closed to visitors as we take down our holiday exhibits and prepare for our upcoming ones. And we will reopen on Tuesday, February 28th. So until then, you can check out and please do watch all of our virtual programming available on our website, which once again is bcmuseum.org. Our next Northern Kentucky History Hour will be on Wednesday, February 8th with Jamie Schworer of Schworer Beverly Hills Limousine Service. She will share the rise to stardom of Kentucky's most famous Rolls Royce and how she is keeping her dad's legacy alive. So please be sure to tune into that. And then after that presentation, our next one will be with author Richard Chalice presenting on the origins of and effects of organized crime in Newport, Kentucky. So we do have those two presentations coming up. So if you're interested, please come watch those. Also, if you have a certain topic of interest that you would like to see on Northern Kentucky History Hour or are interested in presenting yourself, please contact Mary Jane Calderon at her email, which is communications@bcmuseum.org. So that is all we have time for this evening. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors again, as well as our supporters at BCM. We'd like to thank our staff, trustees, and members of the Behringer-Crawford Museum. And for more Northern Kentucky history through the week, you can check out our Facebook page, as well as our YouTube channel, where you can find the latest installment of Curators Chats with our Curator of Collections, Jason French. So please like and subscribe on those videos and pages. Until then, take care, everyone, and good night. Thank you, everyone. So thanks so much, Kathy and Kelly, for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Night, everyone.
We did it, Kim.